We're changing the order.
All right, we'll get started. Let's see here. Notice hereby given the meeting of Valley City Planning Commission will be held. That's the wrong one. Same one I've got. Anyway, I've got proof of publication. The Open Meetings Act on the back wall.
Giving us the right one.
Anyone desiring to speak on any item on the agenda is invited to do so, but will be limited to 3 minutes. After being recognized by the chairman, please state your name and address for the record. Anyone desiring to speak for longer than 3 periods of time should have made arrangements with the city clerk prior to the meeting. A copy of the Open Meetings Act is located on the north wall of the council chamber. Planning Commission reserves the right to adjourn to executive session on any agenda item per Nebraska Revised Statute 84-1410. A copy of all reproducible written materials to be discussed at this meeting is available for examination or copying. Podium is located at the front of the chamber. For comments, again, please state your name and address for the record. Christie, you have a roll call?
Larry,
Here.
Mark,
Here.
Brian,
Here.
Greg Cava,
Here.
Jeremy Mayer,
Here.
Greg Sunday,
Yes.
Jim Tomanek,
Here.
Again, I have proof of publication. Public hearing on item 4A, various ordinance amendments, storage units and utility trailers. Room?
Skip that.
Oh,
Skip that.
I'm sorry, we're gonna skip down to number 2 first, because there are a lot of people here looking at this item. Item 4B, conditional use permit, Sam and Emily Wagman for a school. I'll open the public hearing. Public comment for or against? Oh, Room, why don't you go ahead and start?
Yeah, I can just at
You
least do
start.
a little bit
Give
of,
the history.
yeah. So, a month ago, we did a pre-activity construction meeting with the folks that were looking to build on this property. It's transitional ag, so this is conditional use. Conditional use is actually for any school in any zone, it's conditional use, so that's why they're here applying for the conditional use today. So we brought up a lot of things at the meeting. One was building it to code, right? This is gonna be a school, it's gonna be treated as a school. So obviously they're aware of that, they have no problem with that. Some issues were brought up with the water and sewer. They're gonna go through Douglas County and get all the appropriate, they're working with MCL, one of those. So they're gonna do, I mean, those guys know what they're doing. They're gonna make sure everything is sized correctly. The other concern was traffic. So that one just, I gave Larry a letter here that was sent at 4:05. I just met this afternoon with Douglas County. I talked with the owners of this property, and they read through this and they, at least from what I can tell, don't have any real issues with it. They kind of thought it was gonna happen, potentially. So I met with Douglas County. This is a Douglas County road, so this is not our road. So I reached out to them, went and met with them in person today. They sent me a letter regarding the conditional use permit. One, they would require a traffic impact study to be done. 2, paving would be required from State Street up to the driveways that were being put in. And then essentially they would have to work with Douglas County to make sure that the driveway, the entrances, obviously this paved road that was going in from State Street up to their driveways would conform to all of the stuff that the county also wants. So I would just work with the county to make sure that everything was being done, and be a multi-jurisdictional thing, which in the ETJs is not super uncommon. It's their road, so obviously they have say over that. So, do you guys have any questions specifically for me?
Is that something that the builders are gonna communicate with the county.
Correct, yeah, so that,
You're out of it.
the only thing I'd be looking for, just like when we do pools, is I just make sure that they have the Douglas County Health and Safety Pool Permit, which means it's been reviewed, it's been good, there's nothing on my end. It'd be the same with them. I would check to make sure that Douglas County, I could very easily reach out to Jeff or Todd, who I just met today. Hey, did they meet with you guys? Yep, here's the approved permit, this is the changes we had them do. I would track that through the entire process and make sure that everything was done with Douglas County, just like with the pool permits, for example.
Do you do the building permit?
Yes, I'll do the building, yep, it's in our ETJ,
ETJ, okay.
yep, correct. So, that's what I got for you guys.
Seems to be it's a little early to be voting on this, isn't it? Till they get all their,
Well, it'll be subject to. It'll be subject to, if a motion's made to approve it, it'll be subject to all these things like we've done before.
That's
Before it
probably
goes
more.
to council, before it goes to council.
Yeah, and I can address that if you want me to. Yeah, I mean, we've done this before, and I think that the email from the county was received at, 4:05 today? So the school people really haven't had a chance to do what they need to do to talk to these people. And I think that from a city standpoint, as a planning commission, you can recommend approval subject to satisfaction of the requirements with Douglas County, and that'll be up to them to go do that and present that at the council. It needs to be laid over at council. If it takes a little while to work that out, then it's kind of, the ball's in their court. But if you think this is something that you want to approve and you want to approve the conditional use permit, you can put that condition on it, certainly. Okay?
And I wouldn't approve a building permit without the Douglas County, I mean, so not only would it stop with you guys, it would also stop with me, so.
Sam and Emily, are you here? You would like to?
Yeah.
Talk about exactly what just some more background.
Hi everyone, I'm Emily Wagman. My husband Sam's back here. Appreciate you guys listening to us. Just wanted to start with saying, you all keep saying school. When you say school, we want to be looked at as a school from a safety standpoint, but we are a group of parents that are just homeschooling together. So we want a common meeting place. And that's what this is for. We do hire teachers that are certified teachers to help us facilitate this. So it's more a homeschool co-op that you've seen probably, and heard of throughout the city. So I just wanted to kind of make that clear and just to give a little bit of background. So we started, this is year 3, and we plan to stay very small. Our class sizes are no more than 15. Right now, our biggest class is 14, so they range from anywhere from 4 to 14 per class size. We've promised our parents and everyone that we'll never get bigger than that. So we start after Labor Day and we end middle of May, just like everyone else. But our school day is 8:30 to 2:30, and parents come in and drop off. Sometimes they volunteer through the day, so they're in and out. Right now, we're in Elkhorn, downtown Elkhorn, and they're in and out in 15 minutes. Dropping off and picking up 2:30, same time, in and out. And then, we have a couple camps in the summer that we've currently run out of our place. So maybe in the summer there'd be summer camp, but it's just September through May that school would run the homeschool co-op. Yes, am I supposed to take questions? I don't know. I've never
K
done
through
some.
8?
Kindergarten through 8th grade, yes.
How many cars would you estimate at one time during pickup and weekends?
I wanna
We
say,
have 57 families.
but I wanted to say maybe like 40-ish.
Wait a minute,
Yeah.
Wait, you have to be recognized. Go
Sorry,
ahead.
there's probably 57 families total, but some carpool, and so it'd be no more than that. Then teachers, we have 22 teachers, but not all of them are there at the same time. It just depends on what they're teaching. We do run some classes out of our farm, nature studies and common arts and religion class and PE, because we have a gym there. So that those classes are run out of our farm.
I see here the Douglas County engineers are recommending a traffic impact study be conducted, so obviously that would answer any of those questions.
Do you ever utilize a bus?
We do have a bus that runs from downtown Elkhorn to our place, and then on Fridays, we don't have regular school day. We go out in the community and do acts of service, Cope and Elkhorn, or this Friday, they're going to Heart Ministry Center to work at the food pantry there. So the bus does pick up the kids for that kind of thing and drops them off. So I would believe Fridays is more of a day that is bused. Currently, there's 2 other days, but that would be cut out with being able to be in one location. Right now, we're having to be in 2 locations.
I mean, it appears that it's for the families, okay, and they're gonna do that, but when you use the bus, does that change the dynamics that much? I mean, you insurance, all the.
We have all the right
the
stuff,
that-
yep. One of the families that's, well, are you here, Charles? I think he's here. Yeah, he does insurance. So yes, he has us covered.
Any other questions for Emily?
You've met with the picture of this building here, it looks like, you bumped the size up a little bit?
You were talking
Yeah.
10,000 square feet at our,
Yeah.
this is a building.
Yeah, Greg Frizzell, 20818 Sheffield. So the proposed building, or the building that we sent you, is 10,880 square feet is what we're looking at. The room sizes, it's set up for 15 kids, up to 15 kids in each one of those spaces, just to have enough room. They surround the perimeter of the building, so egress, I mean, all of that stuff we'll figure out when it comes into the building permit side. Currently we have, what's the total of students we have now?
95.
We have 95, so we're gonna probably stay, I mean, it'll take a little while for us to get to that 150 on the students, but yeah, questions on the building, I suppose.
So the building size on the lot, are you gonna have a large enough drive-through area that cars won't be backed out onto the road during drop-off, things like that, where everybody can fit off of the street?
Yes, that is the intention. So we did a mock-up of the plot and through the building to scale on. The concept here is that we would stay on 288th, so we wouldn't actually turn onto Garvin Road. We're looking at a left-hand turn for ingress, considering the 90-foot visibility triangle off of that intersection, to have that ingress that comes off, and then egress would be a right-hand turn for them to be able to leave. So that would limit any of that backup. If there was that in that 15 minutes of drop off, it'd be able to funnel through. We'll also, and we plan to have, most likely it'll be TD2, it may be Lamper Nearson. I mean, we'll have an engineering firm that will work through this and give us the proper sizing for the amount of cars that we're gonna have and what that traffic's gonna be. But I mean, I'm a parent of one of the kids, or 2 of the kids at the school now. I mean, we want it to be safe. I mean, we want that flow to work. So to answer your question, yes, we will absolutely have consideration for making sure that the cars aren't stacking on 288th.
Well, I think the good thing is that it's there at the corner, where people are gonna be slowing down anyway to make that turn, so it's not like it's a speedway going by there.
And I mean, the easy design would have been to turn on Garvin Road and use the existing entrance. That would have been, a lesser expensive way for us to look at it initially, but we do want to look at the impact of the neighbors. What is the impact of visibility, and maintaining 288th does make sense. There is a spillway that's there in a pond, and so the positioning of the building now is to make sure that we're not modifying any of that runoff. So that we're not causing any issues with neighboring properties, taking into consideration, obviously, our elevation. We'll have to build out of the floodplain and all that fun stuff. You guys are totally aware of that. So.
Brian, on number 3 of that letter, part of their Douglas County, they would do the driveway, and they'd review that as well.
Oh, okay.
So they would take all that with the traffic study so that's number, on the.
Make sure it works.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I'm just trying to figure out, trying to keep, please, this is not a negative thing. I'm just trying to figure out how many people right now, based on what you're designing, are you gonna have in the classroom?
So right now, the design is no more than 15 students per classroom.
All right. How long have you been in existence and where did you start and how much are you growing? Okay, because I'm sitting here saying, okay, I see what you mean. If you're successful and it takes off and what have you, is there a risk you're gonna outgrow this and?
Well, actually, I would, and I might be stepping out of my lane a little bit, but yes, there's a ton of interest within the school. Now, with that being said, there's a piece of ground that the Wagamans purchased in Elkhorn as well. And so the goal is not to grow in this location larger than that amount. And so it is selective. We do have a hard and fast limit on what the school size is going to be. That was one of the big draws for us to bring our kids to this school. As a parent, we don't want to see this school grow and turn into just a traditional school. That was the reason that we came to this homeschool co-op. So there's already been some movement made where there's additional ground that's purchased for whether that's a second location or if we outgrow this space, then that's where we would go. But the intention is for there to be 100 to 150 kids in this location right now.
I understand that, but I'm trying to get an idea of how fast you are growing. In other words, in one, oh yeah, this is really great. I'm not looking to go there, but there is a possibility that this is going to happen. So the question that I would like to have answered is how fast do you think you will outgrow this building? I mean, because the size, the square footage, and you've limited yourself.
Sure.
I mean, so you're gonna turn people away? Is that?
Yes.
You do that now?
Yes. Yes, and Sam and Charles will be able to speak to that if you do want to get into that process. They have a stringent interview process that they go through, and there's just quite frankly, there's a fit. There's families that fit and there's families that don't, and it's nothing. There's a large criteria that they have that they meet, and I can say that again as a parent, not anybody that's on that board, but I know that we have less attendance. Our enrollment is lower than it could have been based upon the families that they've turned away, and these two families are subsidizing that expense. So there is a culture here that we're growing, and this is something that we want to keep what we have. I mean, it's not something that we're trying to take over the world and make this a profitable endeavor.
I'm not trying to imply that, but
Sure.
I just see where it's gonna be difficult to control this, and when that control comes, I'm sure, then what is gonna be the future of that piece of property, or are you gonna grow bigger? I mean, what are we approving down the road?
Right, so with this and in that initial meeting that we had, this was something that was discussed, was that within this conditional use permit, the 150 occupancy was a condition of the use permit. So we understand that is our occupancy. It's fairly simple. It's like with the road, we just got told from an email at 4:05 that we're gonna have to pave the road, and that's something that we're gonna have to do in order to be in compliance. I mean, that's why we're here today. We didn't have intentions of trying to hide anything. I mean, the property was purchased. There's as much square footage there on the property now as what we currently have. We could have easily have just slid all the kids in there and hoped that nobody said anything and acted that way. But we want to be forthcoming and answer any questions that you have, but know that the answers that we're giving you that's how we'll function.
I'm just trying to figure out where and how soon do we get to that point.
And that it's a valid question, and I guess the answer to that is that we understand that, and we know that there is a hard limit as to what we can do for attendance in this location. There is no desire to grow beyond that, and we've already made steps and put there's a plan in motion for knowing that is a possibility. But if the model does move, the model itself has to stay at 150 or less in each location. So the model is designed for that. So it would have to be a different location.
Well, thank you for your answer and your forthcoming. I appreciate it. I'm just trying to be careful so that we don't approve something we know we
Totally
might
understand.
regret. That's the only reason. I'm not against the concept. I'm not against anything but things have a way of growing.
Understood.
Well,
Thank you.
now to grow to 150 kids.
I'm sorry.
The occupancy's 150.
Right.
So you'll be, it's all fire marshal, obviously.
So there's a couple hard stops. First of all, there's a conditional use, right? The conditional use states 150 and they've got 160. It's very easy for me to say, let me see how many people you have enrolled. You're 160, your conditional use. Same with the building as well, right? The building can only hold per code, per it being built to school standards, can only hold so many kids per square foot. Again, all the stuff that they mentioned. So that there's a couple breaks in there that, and the traffic study would account for maximum usage, right? I mean,
Does this have to be sprinkled, Room?
so commercial plans, I don't review them. They're gonna go with the third party that I wanna use. They review commercial and they know it far better than I do. So if it needs to be sprinkled, they'll let them know. They'll reference the code. The company that I'm gonna have them use, they help write the code. So they know everything that needs to be done. So I have full faith that
Doesn't the fire marshal look at this?
fire marshal would look at it too. Yeah, yeah, so there's not only the building code, there's also the fire marshal would be involved too, yeah.
And that's why I think we're here asking for the consideration on the conditional use permit, because this is the first step in a long line of red tape that we have to get through in order to make this happen. And I refer to it as the dumpster parking lot, because the parking lot that our kids are in right now is actually a recycle parking lot, and we have some portables there. And it would be nice to know the direction that we're going and be able to move forward with it. So that's really why we said, hey, let's conditional upon all of these approvals, we need to do it, but we really need to get a place for the kids to go. I mean, this going to the bathroom in a porta potty has been tough this week, you know? So.
At least you're honest.
You want to talk to the kids?
No. They have their own class.
There's no reading. Anybody else want to speak for this particular item? Proponents? Michael? Please come up here. Thank you. You may be recalled. Hi.
I have a couple of things I'm Lexi Johnson. I am your adjacent neighbor, which I've never met you. Unfortunately, we're meeting in this situation. I am going to give you guys a couple things. Is that okay if I hand you guys some things? Okay, I don't have big papers. I unfortunately did not get a letter. My other neighbors did, and they were the ones that informed me, but I did not get a letter, and I was told mid last week. So this is really news to me, and obviously, like, my preparation is very small. So I'm gonna try to do what I can for you guys, okay? Okay. First, I'm gonna hand everyone a bunch. No.
Okay, I just wanted to see what you did.
Okay, I'm gonna hand you guys a couple pictures. Of course, like I said, I did not have a chance to be able to get those blown up. And I'll start this way.
She came early and handed this up.
I know. I'm really
It's
sorry.
like country living.
Yes. Have you thought about it? Yes, so anyways, okay. So the pictures that I gave you here are obviously our county roads. It's quite a feat. Some of them are from the flood, but when I tell you some of them, I mean maybe 3 of those photos are from the flood. 288th and Garvin and 294th, all 3 of them are very, very low maintenance roads. I have clients that try to come to the barn and I can't even conduct my business because of those roads currently.
Wouldn't the paving fix your problem?
Potentially, but Do you want 100 people driving in and out to your property each day?
Well, I like this because it doesn't go on Garvin Road. It's
No, but I take 288th too.
Yeah.
Right? And then, you know, in those points that I sent you, or I gave you guys, the other concern, and obviously you guys are doing a traffic study, the other concern would be the intersection at Dollar General, right? So I understand that that's not city, according to my meeting last week. That would not be in city limits, so that would have to be handled by the county, correct?
It's in city limits, but it's not a city road.
Correct, okay. So we can't handle that, so how is 100 people going to come and go out of that at the same time as Valley Shore, State Street? How are we gonna handle that traffic? Obviously, the traffic study will tell us that.
Yeah.
I'm just telling, here's my points for you so far.
We share this with, Bruin can share this with whoever does the traffic study.
Yep, that's fine. So I give you guys some pictures of the roads. I can tell you from experience that we've had plenty of conversations with the Corps of Engineers. We've been turned down for many things that we've tried to do on the property because of the Corps of Engineers. We tried to build a simple outdoor in the front of our piece of property, and we were turned down by the Corps of Engineers because natural waterways flow through the entire properties along the road. I just wanted to build an outdoor arena. I didn't want to put a school.
That's why you put
Hey, he got a fish in there, I know.
no fish in there.
He was.
You have a permit?
He did. But anyways, so we were turned down just for like a simple outdoor riding arena, not a school. Obviously the lack of material on the road, if they do a traffic study, they're gonna pay to pave the road, obviously, you know, that handles that issue. But it still doesn't handle the issue onto State Street. All of those people's lives are now completely changed, obviously with the amount of traffic that you guys are about to bring us. We're a very quiet neighborhood. We have horses, both two farms are on that road with livestock. And the neighbor next to us has cattle. Like having 100 students on this road, or, you know, parents going in and out is not really what we're used to, I guess you could kind of say. We have a couple concerns, obviously, traffic, road conditions. There's obviously concerns about the property. That sounds like it'll be locked up pretty tight with the county and the city. Obviously, we have problems with, you know, concerns about the additional building, and then community benefit. Like, here's my question. What is this going to do to our community? What benefits are you bringing to us? If this is an exclusive elite school that you guys are going to be very picky on who you're taking, how does this benefit our community? I'm missing that part. I guess that's a really big thing for me. So I'm from a small town and I'm all for community. I want to give back to the community. I have kids in my farm. We travel all over the US. We show. I am all for the kids. I get they are too, but where in the community are you giving back? I have students that go to DC West. We always participate in everything that Valley has to offer. What part of the school is going to benefit the community? Obviously, it's not monetary, I understand that, but what part? What part? Also for your school, I'm pretty sure most of the demographic is coming from the Elkhorn, Omaha area. Why did you choose our location here on Garvin Road? Why? According to the assessor site, like you guys have told me, there's a couple parcels there in Elkhorn, one of which is 117 acres and the other of which is 29 acres. Those seem to me like suitable choices for 150 kid school, right? And according to the building, I haven't got to see that yet, but according to the building size, I would assume that those would have been better options than a 6-acre lot, right? On a gravel road. In kind of, you know, a very quiet neighborhood. You guys would have already been on pavement. You're off State Street, you're off Rainwood. You would have already been on pavement. Why wouldn't you have done that? Okay, a couple other things before I'm done. The safety is one of the biggest things too. You guys realize that you're on the other side of the railroad tracks from the fire department, right? I will tell you from experience that to get somebody from the fire department to your front door, it's longer than 10 minutes. It's a lot longer than 10 minutes. The field behind us started on fire. What happened to us?
Well, the volunteers have to get from wherever they're at to the fire.
To the fire department, where's the fire department
We
moving?
have a
Close,
fire representative right
is the
there.
fire department moving further or closer to this property? Further,
Closer.
further.
But
Other
then
side of town.
even further, they're a step closer to being full-time fire department.
Yeah.
So they.
Potentially, yeah.
One of the benefits of the location we've chosen is that we will have access to
the
go
highway.
over.
Yeah, to go the whole way
We won't have to
around.
wait for the train.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
that's been a problem.
It's still 10 minutes though. I did the map. I mean, I didn't print all of that off,
It
but,
probably is to go around there,
mhm.
but that is one of the reasons we chose that site.
Yeah, and there's no hydrants, there's no, there's no fire hydrants, there's no nothing on the property that would accommodate, if there is a big issue like that. Other thing too is like for us having equine livestock, like how are you gonna protect us and protect you guys from that? Privacy fences, all the things, like I'm not gonna be liable for 100 kids running around and potentially getting in with my horses or, anything like that. Like we have expensive horses that travel, you can't feed them, you can't give them certain things, I've banned substances. It's just how it is, like it's just, and that's my business, but I just don't understand, or I'm having a problem understanding how you think that that's going to work on that property.
Thank
So,
you.
thank you so much.
Anyone else want to speak for or against this particular item?
Oh, and you better wait. Thank you. Can I pictures?
Oh,
Keep everything.
Yeah,
Yeah, you wanna keep them? Perfect.
No.
No,
just the card, we'll keep the card.
you want the card?
No.
I think you
Unless
got a couple of them.
Unless you smoked it.
Hi everyone, Owen Kovas, 29040 Garden Road, so directly north of this property. Own a lawn and landscape business that we operate out of there. One of my biggest concerns is probably, again, the traffic. I just wanna make sure that, obviously, the traffic study, they're probably better at this than all of us, but 40 cars with 20 teachers, that means 20 cars for students. Math seems a little low. Let's be realistic about that. So a traffic study will take care of that, sure.
How many employees do you have?
25,
And they all drive to your place?
yep.
Okay.
And we do have heavy equipment, trailers all the time. So we're up and down the road throughout the day, especially in the mornings, especially in the afternoons, probably after dismissal, but in the mornings for sure. Kids, even with my kids, I put up a fence in my yard just to make sure they don't get too close to the road or too close to our lot. Sometimes those big trucks, it's hard to see kids. So I wanna make sure the kids are safe at school, not able to get out on the streets, get to the horses, get hurt over there. And the paving of the road, that's great. But I wanna make sure whoever's impacted has to pay for that. Or, neighboring houses don't have to pay for that. We would love to have a paved road, so we don't have to drive through, minimum maintenance mud hole every spring, every fall, every time it rains and so.
Half-inch rain.
Yeah, half-inch rain, it's a mud hole. I mean, there's water on the road all the time. I've addressed this with the county. They tried to dig some ditches this year, but it was, not the right answer. So whenever it rains out, that road's gonna be rough. Anybody comes down 294th, good luck. We've had trucks and stuff get stuck, four-wheel drive trucks. This snow was a very real example of how rough the roads can get out there. Every time I wanted to get out to the shop, I had to pop myself out. Even the city wasn't maintaining them to the point that we could get trucks and vehicles in and out. And then, I had applied for a conditional use permit before ordinances were changed in the middle of it, just to store trailers. I store for the customers of my neighbors, their horse trailers. We continue to build lakes. People have boats, they need to store them. So I was going to provide a service for members of our community. I'm a tax-paying citizen, tax-paying business. I can't speak for the school, how they're formatted or formed, but will they be paying taxes? Will they be paying taxes to maintain the road that they put in? I don't know, all for consideration.
Thank you. Michael? You have 3 minutes, buddy.
Michael Burns, 18320 Boyd Street. I'd hope you guys take in consideration of possibly allowing a conditional use permit for the existing building here for the use until it gets dealt with the county on, I guess, a road improvement for 288th Street. I mean, with the commercial activity already up there, it will be a little more impact on the street, but the address, the driveway on 288th Street with the county will address that issue. So, thank you.
I don't see any playground equipment, or playgrounds, there's no playgrounds on this drawing. Do the kids play outside?
You can talk about playing outside.
And if they do, are you gonna fence it?
I mean, that's a, yes, the kids are outside a lot. I mean, they're outside more than they're inside, so, there will be playground equipment
I kind of threw it.
of some sort, yeah.
Okay, so positioning of this, because obviously in that first meeting that we had, some of these concerns were brought to our attention. And so that's why, again, placement of the building was to get it as far away from the neighboring properties as we could. There is that natural spillway, which we've addressed. That's a natural buffer that's there. I think I'm trying to make it abundantly clear that our intention is to play nice in the sandbox with everybody. And so if part of the conditional use permit is that there's a fence that has to be installed, I imagine that we would accommodate that. We don't want anybody to get hurt. We don't want to cause issues with other people's businesses. We're not here to try to take over, and we do want to be a part of the community. So I think that's something that, you know, Rune and I have a good working relationship. If there's something that as we continue to go through this, if there's more concerns that are brought up, we'll continue to discuss. The next step for us in this is the conditional use permit, and I think that there's gonna be a lot of questions that we're gonna have to answer. So, but yes, the kids play outside. Nature studies is part of what we teach. If we want to get into the character of the kids and the way that they act and what happens, I mean, all we have to do is bring them in here for you guys, and you'll see that the way that they conduct themselves and how they react, they will be a benefit to the community. So and the surrounding properties that are there. So.
And I assume they're supervised when they're outside.
Absolutely. The student to teacher ratio is incredible. I mean, and being that they're small class sizes, you also have the older kids that are looking after the younger kids as well, and that's just part of the culture that's there. So,
thank you.
Yep.
That's one Molly. Virginia Euchre, 28647 State Street, and I am against this. The main reason is obviously the roads. With this last snowstorm, our street, and I'm sure you guys have heard, was one of the worst that was in Valley. We had snow drifts that were up above, I want to say at least 7 feet tall. If you look out my window, you couldn't tell where the street was. We live right there on the corner as you would, well, my house is down from the corner that you would take, what is it, 288th right over there. And so my concern is that when it snows like that, even a small snow, we are the last street to ever get plowed. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. But even with this last snow on that Friday, we had the snow plow go down once, and it was at noon when my husband got stuck.
That's Douglas County, right?
No, we are a city road.
We do.
State.
Oh, we do?
We are a city road.
State Street. Okay,
Yes.
sorry.
And so that comment made to my husband at noon was that it was not worth their time to come back and continue to plow. A few hours later, the city shut down. We understand the roads were bad. However, everything cleared back up next morning. The comment was made to the employees the next morning, you don't need to come in if you don't want to. 4 of them thankfully showed up. None of them were able to get to our street. They had to bring Peppy out the next day to get down our street. That's a huge concern, especially when you have 100 families going up and down that road. So if this is gonna go through, that needs to be addressed. Even that that Saturday, I emailed Doug Egan, and I emailed the city, and I emailed Cindy. Regardless, the ones on Facebook were to Doug and Cindy. They didn't respond, but I still have yet to receive a comment to the email I sent to the city. So those are, that's a huge concern. And that's a small street.
Recommend you work with the city on that problem.
Good luck.
It's not ours.
Thank you.
I would assume that situations like that, your school's gonna close just like every other public school around.
I understand that, but we're the last street to ever get plowed. And they come down maybe once every 4 hours, once every 5 hours. This Thursday, if it snows, I bet you will see them once. Just saying.
It is a public safety concern, just so if there's a fire.
It's really
or anything
bad.
out Our direction, nobody's getting through there.
He's the one that's helped plow the roads this whole time, because he's trying to get to help and do his job.
All right, we still do positive, or 4, right? My name is Charles Olson, my address, 9708 North 225th Street. And I just want to address a couple of things. We do want to be a part of this community, and a lot of us already are. We're actually at St. John's. We're a Catholic institution, and the Catholic parish that supports us is St. John's. We're actively engaged there in that community. Our kids actually volunteer at events. We would love nothing more than to get more plugged into the community. So, in terms of what can it give back, not only what the kids are going to bring, but what the families are going to bring to the community. And I can tell you, all of us are engaged individuals. Obviously, we started a school. We're not the individuals that are just gonna step back and hope things happen. We're gonna make things happen. And that's what we do. We get involved, we get to know the people in the community, and we help out however we can. The whole concept of this school, I think, is important. I wasn't here at the very beginning, but I think you have to understand what we're trying to do with these children. We want them to give back to their communities. We want them to be actively engaged, and we want them to learn about the nature around them. You asked, why the location, and it really has to do with, well, there was a building on it, so that's extremely helpful. But being able to go out and do classes outside and just be in nature, where we're at right now, we have trucks in and out of the parking lot where the kids are every single day, backing in and out. It's not a great place. And we talk about having to fence it in. We're using a city park right now. That's not fenced in. Somehow we're managing to keep the kids in check. And the reality is, these are great kids. We have low-income families as part of our school, so I don't want there to be a misconception that we're selecting only the highest earners and this is super elite. It's not. It's more about, do you have the philosophy that you are the primary educator of your child and you want to be a part of our community? That's part of what we're bringing in and being a part of our school. It isn't, trying to get the most elite families in by any stretch of the imagination. So I don't want that to be a misnomer either. Sorry, I'm probably about out of time.
We got 44 seconds.
All right, you're doing well.
Seiko thing here.
But I just wanted to make sure that we were very clear about what we are doing and what we are not doing. And we want to be actively engaged, and already are. We're active parishioners at St. John's. So I do feel like I'm a part of this community already, just through that. But looking forward to being an even bigger part of it. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak?
Cole Willoughby, 422 Main. I live here in town. I totally recognize with the horses and things like that. And I recognize with little kids. Some little kids are gonna run across the road and touch a horse. Or they're gonna go over a fence or whatever. And no matter what, you can talk to all our teachers up here. You can have 100 eyes on these kids and one's over there. It just is one of them things that kids get away, okay? But what I would like to say, and I go to a lot of the city council meetings and stuff, and I've been watching you guys online. What I would like to see you guys do is get some concrete answers instead of subsiding. Oh, well, if they do this, make them do that for you first.
Well, that's a process.
I mean, you guys are the number one line above to go to the council.
That's not how the process works, though. That's why we have these meetings. That's why Roone works with the county and our engineers and our attorneys. It's a process.
Yeah, but I've seen how.
And it's all based on preliminary. This will be a preliminary. It gets all this stuff done through these folks here, then it goes to the city council, where it's all supposed to be said and done, and then the council gets to decide whether this is approved or not.
Yes.
We just make a recommendation.
Yes, but I see a lot of people on the council like having questions and bringing more things and I've seen them abstain from the vote and stuff like that. And it's like, that's why you guys are here, to talk to each other and see all the sides and see what's best for the city first.
But again, this is a step thing.
Yeah, but you're the first step.
Like Douglas County, even though we just got this, if we'd had it sooner, it would have been the same thing. This will have to be taken care of, or it won't be approved.
Well, yeah, but you're sending it to the council to be approved and have them do all that.
Well, that's how it works. The council has the final say.
I know.
We make a recommendation.
Yes, but I would like you guys to consider a little bit more of these people, the developers that come in and say, I don't know, well, I'm not sure. Well, then find out and come back to us. I mean, I don't mean, I'm not trying to disrespect, I'm just saying it gets into the council meetings and it's this huge thing because nobody knows anything. Well, our planning board passed it, so it's good.
No,
There's always been that way.
We don't pass anything.
we don't pass it.
We're an advisory.
I understand, but what I'm saying is they'll say that the planning board had no problem with it, so you shouldn't.
And again, we recognize our attorney, our engineer, who's been with us forever, and Roone doing their jobs. And they make recommendations to us. And if they don't, particularly if Greg doesn't like it from an engineering standpoint, it doesn't go any further.
Okay, well, just my thought. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
You ran out of time.
My name is Lisa Foley. I'm 1315 South 155th Street, and I'm a parent of Saga students. I have 3 children there currently. Next year I'll have 4 because my youngest will be in kindergarten. I also help out in the school on a consistent basis, and I am one of the drivers of the school bus. So I can tell you that I want people to understand that it is not a traditional school in the sense that most people understand it. It is a gathering of families that work together, and we hire teachers just because we want our children to have a great education. So while we have those staff members, it's not a traditional environment. You do have K-8 students, and a big part of our mission is to have these kids work together and to train leaders. So as they're outside in groups, it's not the same thing that you might envision when you think of elementary kids out where you have 100 kindergarten through second graders. This is very different because a lot of those children that are out there, more than half of them, are older kids, and they help keep track of. That is our goal. That's the way that we raise our children. It is a collaboration of families. And so I know something was mentioned about the number of students. We do have 135 as our maximum students based on having 15 per class. We currently are at the 95. Last year we were 89. We are a group of families though that are educating our children together. So it's not 100 families because it's not like people have, 1 or 2 in K-2. I will have 4 children at the school. The Wagmans will have 5 at the school. So it will never be 100 families. That's just it's not the character or the makeup. There are a few people that have, only a couple kids at the school, but most of the families are larger families who are choosing to educate in this way, which is quite a difference. And then the staff ratio, really just does speak to the supervision level. If you have on any given day, we'll have, 15 to 20 staff members for those 90 to, at the max, 135 children. It really does change the supervision level. So I think a lot of those concerns would very well be addressed by that, as well as the fact that
to understand, like Emily had mentioned, we do only go to school from Labor Day to middle of May. And even at that, we have traditional classes Monday through Thursday, and then Friday is a day where we do different things. We are volunteering in the community. We take the kids on field trips all over. That's why we have the bus, is to transport them. It's not a pick up and drop off situation that the bus is utilized for. It is for taking the children on these adventures and these excursions around town, where we do volunteer basically anywhere that we can find that will allow us to come in and educate the children to some new thing, where they can either learn something or serve people.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I believe Emily stated it, but for the intent of code, this is a school, right? That's why I brought it up as a school. It's kind of really not from what they told you, but I just wanted to reiterate that when I brought up school, it's for the code specifically. It's going to be coded and engineered and designed to Group E in the code, which is educational. So that's, just wanted to make that clear to you guys. So
Someday there might be a new line in the code book for co-op, smaller.
I think they already consider it under the educational, that's why it's not school, it's under E, I believe, is the group, and there's a definition for that, so.
Anyone else like to speak? Come on up.
Good evening, I'm Deborah Mama. I own the farm ground that adjoins State Street and 288th Street. I've listened to people talk about the road conditions, the weather conditions. I've lived there for going on 40 years. And State Street, when it was a county road, has always been snowed in and hard to get to, as well as 288th. I don't know how that's going to change, because we aren't going to change the weather back here. As far as 288th, at the end of my farm, that then turns and goes into, is it Garvin Road or Gavin Road? Yeah, okay. That is underwater because of the natural spillway. Every year, especially when we get a lot of rain, there's water over the road signs at the beginning of State and 288th and road closed. And it stays that way for weeks. I just think this is a poor place to put a homeschool situation. And I'm concerned about the traffic, the farm machinery that is, going up and down that road, and all the traffic coming in off of by Dollar General and stuff. It's going to really cause a lot of problems. So I'm opposed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Josie Kobus. I live at 29040. I just have one question. So I was a teacher. I love school. I'm not for it or against it. I just have a question. So when your kids are out of it, then what happens? I'm just totally curious.
What's after?
Yeah, right. So like right now you have 5 kids in it. Great, love that. But let's say they get to high school, then what? I'm just curious.
Go to high school.
Right, so then who's taking over the school? Are you still in it?
Do you mean, do we still
What was the question?
Well, you're saying,
You own the school, right? You're the
Talk into
owners?
microphone there. Talk into-
Okay, so if you're the owners of the school, and then your kids are out of it, then who's taking ownership of the school?
We have a principal and
You do?
headmaster.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought you guys were
Personally.
yes,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't really know much about it. So it's not you running the school, correct?
No, I mean,
Kind of?
Well, we're a nonprofit, but I mean, we started it, but there's always going to be someone in place.
Okay.
You have a board of directors and.
You have an administrative staff?
You have to have all.
You do? Okay, that was my question. I didn't know if this was like parent ran. I just was totally
So they
curious.
The board is not paid.
As a 501c3, we're required to have a board of
Okay.
directors.
Wonderful.
Right.
No, I'm just curious. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? We're setting a new record here. Come on. Come on
Go,
up.
Bill.
Mr. Snyder.
Yes, Bill Snyder, I represent Snyder Farms Incorporated. I own right across South Side, 2525 East 3rd address. And I guess I don't know anything about this, so I can't really give it a total opinion on for or against. I'm basically against it because nobody showed me the benefits of it. And as far as I know, some comments have been made here about minimum maintenance roads. These are not minimum maintenance roads. That's as good as it gets. 294th is not a full right-of-way road. That's a half section road. So they've already exceeded their right-of-way. I know I have major concerns about the drainage on this and the fact that, you know, if they redo the road, they're gonna make the drainage worse for me because they're gonna cut the road out from being the drainage. They're probably gonna raise it up. The other thing is, I kinda wonder what kind of road they're gonna put in. Is this gonna be a full weight road?
We have no.
24 feet wide asphalt.
What's the weight rating on it though?
Well, that's what the traffic study would, yeah,
Because, you know, I only have one
Study during harvest.
ingress egress on that.
yeah. I'm assuming they're good.
As Snyder Farms Incorporated, I only have one spot to get in and out.
Yeah.
Well, maybe two, because I can maybe get out down State Street. That's kind of how that works out. But anyway, the drainage in this territory is absolutely pathetic. What you guys call a spillway, us old guys call, you know, a slough. And I know somebody, they're saying they've been here 40 years, I've been here 70 years. And the drainage is terrible. Part of it, I don't know for sure if it's city or county. 288th from State Street South, is that city or county?
Greg, if it's,
288 State Street South, the city.
Okay, and the city doesn't maintain the culverts in the right of way.
County does.
They're all paved in. You know, so, you know, the drainage, you know, yeah, we can do all kinds of studies, but if we don't maintain what we're studying, and I don't know, like I say, I don't know much about the school aspect and everything, so I can't really, you know, comment too much on that. You know, I kind of really, just my opinion, they're building in a triangle with this spillway. And I don't quite see how you get enough room in there to do what you're trying to do by the time you get parking lot and playground and all this kind of stuff. You know, it just seems to me that, you know, you get landscaping or anything along that line, you're gonna run out of room in the triangle portion that you're, you know, to the northeast of the spillway. And, you know, so.
well, I'm guessing that if they pave that road, the engineers and our engineer will oversee it. They'll have to address the drainage somehow. They'll have to, I don't know,
Well,
you know, work.
so far, the way they address the drainage is they dump onto me. You know,
We're flat.
You know, and well,
We're flat.
yeah, well, that's the problem, you know, it's hard to, and quite frankly, you know, Mama, she's sitting right there, they plugged up the natural spillway when they leveled the farm. So we, you know, and the county let them do that. So.
But again, if they pave that, I'm guessing the engineers will have to deal with all those questions. And that's a good thing.
Well.
Obviously, it's not getting done now.
Yeah, well, it's whether or not the engineers get the problem corrected. And so.
Thanks, Bill.
So, okay. I guess nobody else said what city they were from, so I did.
Is there anyone else?
Everybody knows that.
Are we sure?
I should.
All right, I'll close the public hearing. I would, let's see. Any other discussions? with the members, with anyone who's been up here?
Well, I think it's obvious that everybody in the neighborhood loves the quiet zone they're at and doesn't want any newbies coming in, just like anybody in the country that lives in the country. But it's also obvious that because Valley is a cheaper buy than Omaha and Elkhorn, the progression is coming this way, and it's inevitable. We're not gonna be able to stop it, but we can sure pick the best people to come in. And as you all talk, my kids are all gone, but I hear both of you talk, and I can't see why kids can't learn how to ride horses. Learn about horses. These families have kids and they're outside and they want to learn. They can learn about cattle, they can learn about farming. They can learn about everybody in the neighborhood that are pros at what they do. And now we've got a whole group of kids that maybe want to live in town, maybe want to grow up here, maybe want to raise their families here. They're gonna go somewhere else and make a life. Why not it be here? I don't know, we're all in this thing together, and when you start fighting over space that really isn't ours, we're only here for so long, and we just try to manage it. I think we all need to kind of take a deep breath and accept more of each other and how we live, and make this truly a good place to live. So with that being said.
Any other comments?
I think the only thing that's very frustrating out of this is that this is a program that probably has a lot of merit, but everything that was discussed here were problems that this program isn't bringing to the table. The roads, everything else, that's, oh, we gotta blame this person, we need to blame them, so everybody wants to blame somebody out of this, and it's really frustrating. I keep hearing about traffic study. That is a sore subject for me because of the fact that what happens there at Dollar General, when you look at all the construction up above, flat water, blue water, everything else. Now you put another one in across the intersection. You've got all this. Oh, and then let's throw a damn apartment building in there and everything else. And so we're worried about 150 cars versus what goes there and what isn't going to be addressed by the state. No matter what. If you think the traffic study is going to solve your problems, I've been dealing with this for a long time. I've finally convinced myself I'll stand a better chance of seeing God than I will get this traffic study done. So please understand that a lot of the problems you're facing is not the result of this school. It's what's going on, and there's got to be a way that we find out how to do it. So please, the planning board is following the rules and the regulations that they're doing. I'm not going to defend them because there's a lot of things I'm not totally happy about, but you're going to walk out of here and not be satisfied. So I'm sorry about that. Thank you.
Any other sermons? If not, I'll ask for a vote, or I'm sorry, a recommendation to the city council.
I would make a recommendation to approve with the condition of the county, with the traffic study, the roads, the way it was.
Great. I second it.
Through our professionals in the city.
I second the motion. Any other discussion?
I kind of think we're being a little hasty. I think some of these things should happen before, instead of just relying on all these things to happen. But I thought that before, and I'm usually the Lone Ranger on that. But That's my thought.
Any other discussion by the board? If not, Chrissy, let's do a voice vote.
Larry,
For,
Scott, not here, Mark,
Or,
Brian,
Yes.
Greg, Kava,
Yes.
Jeremy Mayer,
Yes.
Greg Sunday,
Negative.
Jim Tomanek.
yes.
motion carried.
Carried.
Okay, we'll move on to the next item. We'll go back to item number 1. You folks can all stay if you want.
Doesn't say a whole lot about their life, does it?
If they stay, you mean?
Yeah.
Guys in the second row have to stay.
We're gonna talk to you
Okay, our recommendation goes to the city council at the next meeting. So get all that stuff done.
We're working. Yeah, I gotta get some.
Well, it doesn't have to, it doesn't have to be on the agenda. You're not ready on it.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, hell with the school. Your votes count up there, don't they?
I don't know.
When they build a new football stadium and all that, indoor?
It's in, yeah. It's gonna get domed.
You gotta get it permitted.
Yeah. We got a meeting at 6, so I'm gonna blow through these really quick. So we discussed the utility stuff last time.
Utility trailers.
Yep, utility trailers. What you guys have in front of you is based on the conversation we had. So, we have on the front page, we pretty much, the description you guys are fine with. We talked about it being impervious, that's fine. Pad has to cover entire footprint, we talked about that. The utility trailer definition, we had a little bit of question in there. I just, based on what you guys said, I just made it what the state said, right? I removed axles, we didn't talk about axles.
There's no weights, there's no axles.
It just means a trailer having a gross weight, including load therein, of 9,000 pounds or less. That's the state definition of what a utility trailer is. So I took that out. And then we briefly talked about it last time, but I did change the definition of a front yard with how we've got some of the houses, all the new houses, I don't have to worry about this, but some of the old houses, depending on how they're set back or forth, and you've got some corner lots where things are sometimes questionable, this proposed front yard just kind of cleans it up. Instead of it saying, hey, the 25 feet, that is your front yard, anything after that is kind of just this dead zone that was never discussed before. If your house is 50 feet back, that 25 feet, again, it was just gray. So this was just changing it to say, hey, the front of the property line and a line drawn from the front face or faces of the principal structure. So wherever your house is at, that's your front yard. I think that was the original intent of this, but again, I've had people come in and discuss what the definition exactly meant, and they had somewhat of an argument if their house is set back or forward, right? This just covers it. If your house is closer, obviously your front yard's a little different due to the house being platted and built, 100 years ago. So this just kind of covers that up. We talked about the matrix. That really wasn't changing much. All it was just adding the utility trailer and then mentioning the section. So if you guys, these are the changes I made due to what you guys said. If you guys have any questions or you want me to change anything, let me know. But this is based on our conversation last time. So,
Did you take out the $100 fee?
yep, I took that out.
Excellent.
I'll do it for free.
So keeping the public happy, right?
I'm fine with that.
So
He tried to eliminate these gray areas, so he's doing.
let's do a motion.
Shrink them, Greg. I'm just trying to shrink them.
I'll ask for a motion on this particular item first, and then we'll go to the next one.
Motion to recommend approval.
Greg, second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Accessory structures, exclusion of site design standards.
So this one, obviously we've been holding over this Jerry Smith one regarding the canvas structure. so this was in response to that. Obviously, we had some loose discussion about it last time. What I essentially did is kind of took what we talked about last time and started writing things down. So essentially, we would create an exception in our commercial design standards that an accessory structure are allowed to not conform to the commercial design standards if all of the following are met. One, the primary structure has been finalized. That means someone can't say, well, I'm gonna build something, but let me build this first. No, your primary structure has to be built. Two, the total of all accessory structures is only, and this is where I've got a question mark, 10, 20, 30% of the primary structure's footprint. Again, this is to dissuade someone from, well, here's a little shack that's my primary structure. That's 3,000 square feet. I'm gonna put 10,000 square feet of tent up. The intent is, and that's maybe more a question for you guys. I threw out 10%. I've heard up to 30%. Again, that would just be, this is the size of structure that they could put up with. If they've got a 10,000 square foot building, obviously 10%, they can put up 1,000 square feet of this. 30%, they can put up 3,000 square feet of this type of structure that doesn't have to conform to the standards. We can go back to that. No occupancy shall be allowed in the accessory structure. No plumbing or electrical shall be allowed. The structure can only be used for dead storage. I've got a definition of that below. The storage shall only be used for a primary function of the lot and not rented out. Shall not be visible from the street. The structure is engineered. Again, it's a commercial structure on a commercial lot. I would require it to be engineered anyways, but let's just put it in there. And then a conditional use permit must be pulled. So anytime someone wants to do one of these, we're doing this, where you guys have a say. This is the things that have to be met. You have to screen it. You have to put landscaping up to cover it, whatever. And then the definition of dead storage is the safekeeping or holding of warehouse goods or other kinds of items. Those items or goods will then wait for the occurrence of some future event or contingency that will call for their removal. No work can be done in the structure except to store and remove contents. It can't be, for example, in his case, which is what I know he's doing, he's just using it for storage. He's not working on any vehicles in there. There's no bathroom in there. There's, again, no plumbing, no electrical. It's just for storage. And the intent then is like our sand, a lot of municipalities, sand, salt, things that they keep in these covered. That's what the intent is for this.
So does he meet all these items?
He does.
Wasn't there some concern about whether he met any engineering standards for the foundation? Did you address any of that?
So that is something that once we get through this, I've talked with him about that. Bare minimum, I'm gonna make him dig it up in sections so I can make sure that the footings were done correctly. Theoretically, you guys could mandate on because he's gonna have to come through for a conditional use, right? You could theoretically mandate that he's gotta chop an end off so we can see the rebar inside. I mean, for me, if there's photos, they can do x-ray to see if there's rebar in there. I would accept that. Now, I'm gonna make him dig out sections to make sure that it's as deep as it's supposed to be and as wide as it's supposed to be, and then with x-ray, we don't have to do destructive testing. But I'm gonna make sure that it was done to what it was supposed to be done.
It becomes a liability issue if you don't.
Yeah, right. Which is why we have permits and why I should have been out there when there was a hole in the ground.
Well, he should be very cooperative. We can make him tear it down.
He is. To his defense, he said, listen, you let me know what I have to do. We can dig it up.
Plus he's gonna pay double fee.
I
Absolutely.
don't want to be, too hard on this guy, but I think you do need to be satisfied,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And I think that's all we're looking for, at least me personally.
Because we're asking for forgiveness again.
Right, and that's where this accessory structure, the only thought, if you guys are fine with this, the only thing that I had kind of a question mark is on how much do we let them do? 10, 20, 30% of their primary structure? Shooting from the hip, I went 10%. He said 30, and I was like, well, you can put out whatever number you want, but.
What's other jurisdictions do? Have you checked into that?
I'm not sure. I think a lot of them, they don't have from what I gather, they just wouldn't allow that type of structure in commercial, right? They would have industrial zones for that. They would have, or something would be grandfathered in with the fact that we have a lot of commercial. And our design standards now hit all commercial, not just highway, which his would have been anyways. This potentially, which is why the 10% makes sense to me, because it's really a small portion, right? You got a big structure, you built it how you're supposed to, it looks nice, and behind you want to store your salt. Okay, you got a 20,000 square foot building that's built correctly, done to our design standards. You can put down a 2,000 square foot area that would apply to these standards. And maybe there's some height restrictions or something, but that kind of is not visible from the street. You know, they can't, if their building is 15 feet high, they're not gonna build a 20-foot high behind it. Again, it's visible from the street. So
I've never seen a tent like that.
apparently they're,
Travels through Omaha, everywhere else.
Like
his, no.
apparently they're common up north, but,
Canvas ones,
right.
you know,
Round
for
ones,
Mhm. And like,
storage and stuff, but never an actual, other than the new type of canvas tops for the farm buildings to store their combines and stuff like that, big enough.
right.
Is this one open on both ends?
I believe only one, but I think it's only open on one
No
end.
doors or anything?
Will there be a length
The
of
east
time
end
that
is open all the
conditional
time.
use is good for?
So-
And if he sells it, what happens?
So I would 100%, I thought of that. So he states that according to the manufacturer, this thing is only good for 5 years, right? That's what he stated. In my opinion, the conditional use is only good for 5 years because it's only good for the life of the structure that you're putting up. And he said, and it's been engineered, it's good for this length of time. That's as long as your conditional use permit lasts. And if you want to come back after.
So he determines how long his conditional use is gonna be, because if he says it's 5 years, and what if he said it was 10 years? Would you give it for 10 years?
So I would go based on the manufacturers, because manufacturers will give
I
a
mean,
date.
but I'm
Yes.
just saying that it's gotta be specified.
Oh, yeah.
It'll be the length of time, and then if he would sell it during that time, what happens?
I believe, that's probably more a Jeff question, I believe the conditional use transfers to the new owner, in which case it wouldn't restart, it'd be, hey, you got 2 years left on this thing.
Alright.
And after 2 years,
As long as that's addressed, then.
yep,
We found out with Mallard Santa Gravel, because we were saying, you have to renew it every year and all that stuff. Jeff researched it, no, you don't, it stays in the property.
and the conditional use, I believe, you guys would have
If they
the,
make the terms of the condition.
right, you guys would have the power to say, listen, you have to renew it every year, you have to renew it every 5 years, or after 5 years, if the length of the building is 5 years, after 5 years, you have to do it every year. And if you can prove that it's still structurally sound and it still looks okay and it's still meeting all these requirements, you know, by a year basis, you come back and renew it, that could all be up to you guys.
I'd love to see it specified, not on a whim where we might be pissed off or we might be upset with the person and.
Please don't put that in the minutes. Of course, it's on TV.
It's already in there.
No, but you know what I mean, I just want fairness there, that's all I care about.
Yeah, and that's where I think the conditional use permit, when they go for it, again, I'm gonna ask, what are the manufacturer's specifications? And if the life of this tent that you're putting up is 3 years, I'm gonna make a recommendation to you guys that in the conditional use, you say, hey, 3 years, and that's all you got. Because after that, it loses its structural integrity, or there's a reason that the manufacturer puts a lifetime on something.
I mean, I agree. The problem is what happens when you're not there, does your replacement, is it gonna be up to him or is it gonna be specified somewhere that there is a set designated?
In the conditional use, we'll do a start and an end date. Yeah.
Alright.
Yep. Start and end date, and then it'll just be, it'll tie to our SmartGov, where I can actually put a date on something and it'll just have per the lot, our permitting software. They've got a conditional use on their property and it expires in 5 years, January, whatever, 2030.
Any other questions? I'll make a motion that we advise the city council to approve this accessory structure commercial design standard exception with the 10% as Vern suggested under this item number 2. I need a second. Any other discussion?
Okay, I got one more really quick one.
Okay.
Last week I met with,
Did you vote?
We didn't vote.
We're still under discussion.
sorry, no, go ahead, this is separate.
Oh, okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, motion carried. Next.
Last week, Thursday, Wednesday, right before the snow, I met with, a couple guys who wanted to do they call a micro distillery here in town,
All right.
doing whiskey. That's what I thought.
Right over here. Taylor Quick Pick.
So, no, they're looking at a couple different areas for land. They want about 5 acres. They want to start with not doing distilling, but just having barrels and then doing custom blends, then eventually distilling, having a tap room where people could come taste, and then an outdoor area. Why I'm telling you all of this, nowhere in our code is the word distillery mentioned once. So, I want to start working on, we actually have microbrew. Right. We have microbrewery.
By the pole.
We've got brewery, microbrewery, and I believe craft brewery. In my opinion, a microbrewery and a micro distillery are very similar or the same thing. So, which micro distillery is defined by the Nebraska alcohol, it's less than 50,000 cases a year or something. It's a microbrewery is permitted in all commercial zones. So my thought is just adding microbrewery / micro distillery, still permitted just the same, and then we've got a definition in there that describes, hey, for example, Jack Daniels can't come in and start producing, it's not an industrial, it's a craft microbrew, local people who want to do small batch. So, I just wanted to get your guys' thoughts or opinions on that, but that was my thought of.
I think we're happy to have it.
I got a couple of goodies for you.
I mean, like I said, I had an hour meeting with them last week.
Some income out there.
They don't care.
So, I'll start working on that next time. It should be a pretty simple little fix in here, one definition, amend the matrix, and I think we should be good to go, but.
Put it next to school.
All right, let's move on here. Number 5 says, waiver request, I-design standards, highway overlay district to be held over until accessory structure exclusion is resolved.
That's just,
That's what we just.
I wanted to have it held over so we didn't forget, that's the Jerry Smith, that's the tent we're talking about. But I just want to keep it on there until, once this is to council, they move it, then we can have this discussion with him. He'll have to get a conditional use, but I just didn't want to forget it, so it's just gonna hold over until we get it done.
Anything else going on around that might be, anybody come and want to buy the grocery store or anything?
No, but there's a lot of stuff moving, I mean.
Everybody's coming. They told me that people looking at it, not for grocery store though.
It's a story.
Distillery. It's a big enough building.
Motion to adjourn.
Anybody else?
Distillery.
Motion to adjourn.
Yep.
Second.
Third. All in favor? Aye. If you're not in favor, you can stay, I guess.
Thanks for coming, Linda. Yeah, you didn't.